Hi, everyone, whoever is joining right now. Thank you for stopping by because today we're going to talk about such an important topic. It will be about trauma, understanding trauma and healing it. I'm going to share my experience from my personal healing journey and also from working with my clients because I work with people from different countries, from different backgrounds, and we all go into the point of healing certain childhood trauma. So stay for the next 1 hour. We're going to have practical experience as well as some theoretical information. All right, and right now I'm just going to share slides. And while you are joining, you can always take a breath. Just take a moment to ground yourself first. Take a breath. And get ready for the session. So what we're going to go through today, it will be all about healing your own childhood trauma, because until you do that, then your inner child will lead the way. And most likely it will be a child that is in pain. So imagine that when you are an adult, it's not acting from the adult perspective, but some part of you will be acting from a childhood perspective. So that's what I would like to address today. All right. And who is session 4? So first of all, if you're experiencing a certain limitation in life, whether it's in your workplace or maybe in your relationships or any other area where you feel that there is something inside you that stops you from being where you want to be, and you probably even don't know what's that, then stay with me and you will have definitely tons of insights by the end of the session. And probably some of you might experiencing certain psychosomatic or mental illness, whether it's a digestive system problem or skin conditions or autoimmune disease, or maybe depression or something else. This information and practice definitely will be useful. Addictive behaviors also can be resulted by the trauma. So that's why it would be interesting for you to understand the root causes of that. And of course, for people who experience more severe trauma or PTSD, probably you're already aware of the most part of information, and probably some practices will be useful for you to add to your therapy, to your existing therapy. And I believe that it's very important if you are working with people, and this includes a lot of professions. A couple of examples are if you're a practitioner or if you're working with people as a manager. This is definitely something that I believe that's so crucial for everyone to know and understand where people are coming from when they're expressing anger, when they're sad or not achieving goals, not just understanding. And instead of asking what's wrong with you, let's ask what happened to you. So that's if some of this category is relevant to you, then you're welcome. And what's the agenda for today? We're going to talk about what's trauma actually, what's the definition of that, and how to understand if you had one in some of your experiences in earlier years. And also, you will see what is the risk of ignoring trauma and how beautiful it is to heal it actually, and what are benefits for your current life, for your presence. And we are going to talk a little bit about the root cause and how to heal it. And we're going to have practical experience. And I'm going to share those practices that you can actually take home with you. And that, I believe, is one of the most important part as well, because I usually share only practices that already tested, not just by me for myself through years, but also with my clients. If for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Alsu Kashapova. I'm a holistic therapist. I trained in various technologies from conscious breathing and rebirth breathing to hypnotherapy, ontological coaching, and learning compassionate inquiry with those amazing teachers. I feel really lucky that I worked with and studied from Leonard Orr and Dan Brule and Marisa Peer and Gabor Mate. And a recent movie of featured Gabor Mate actually inspired me to do this session, The Wisdom of Trauma, that he did with Non-Duality and Science organization. And they invited great speakers. So today, a lot of information would be inspired by Gabor Mate's teaching and big names in this area like Peter Levine and Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, and also, of course, from other practices like hypnotherapy and rapid transformational therapy. I'll be integrating this knowledges, and I hope that something will be useful for you. And I'm sure that the practical part will be also valuable and impactful. So let me share a little bit how I came into this point to talk about trauma. Because for me, this was something that I didn't want to go into. And I thought for the longest time that I don't have trauma, that this is something that if you experience sexual abuse, maybe war, something really intense, critical event that happened, for me, I'm coming from a completely different background. I always had a story that I had perfect, happy childhood. And I'm sure that some people who will be joining right now, you might resonate with that, because I had both of my parents really loving, and they supported me and support me until now. And they're wonderful people, and we had a really good family. So I thought that, okay, it's even embarrassing if I would be think that I have something to heal. Plus, I consider that it's weak. So then only when I was experiencing blockages in my life that I couldn't deal with, especially just figuring out on a cognitive analytical level, I felt like even in my workspace, I do so much energy, put so much effort, and I am achieving results, but it didn't feel that it's worth it. It's too much of emotional burnout and too much of this drama going on with every situation. So that's when I felt like, okay, this is the time for me to look into that space in me that felt like a black hole that I didn't want to go into. I really was attached to this story that, no, I had perfect, happy childhood. I don't have anything to heal. But then, of course, life brings you to this direction. And then in some moment, even I had this epiphany of being on a meeting, and when my manager said something to me, and I literally in 1 second, while I was doing some presentation or certain speech, I felt this shutdown, complete freeze. Tears started coming out, and I couldn't feel myself anymore. It wasn't me anymore in that moment. My voice changed and became like from a little girl. I felt completely small, and in that moment I realized that, okay, there is a part of me that right now is acting out, that this still needs attention and needs healing. And then I started my journey, and I realized that trauma is not only what happened to you, but it's a result of what happened inside of you. And that was really a aha moment for me, that it's not only about having like really huge experiences that could affect your life, but it could be absence of something. For example, I grew up in a generation that our parents were working hard. They were figuring out their lives very young, didn't have much of support, and their parents were coming after Second World War. So, of course, there was no sense of this full emotional capacity that they could provide for a child. And that's why we were left alone a lot of times to deal with our pain, to express our emotions, and even there was no space to talk about emotions. So absence of this attunement and regulated adult from the very beginning, that also could cause trauma. And my mom, of course, she was figuring out herself when she was pregnant. There was so much stress going on, a lot of insecurity and self-doubt. And we all know right now that our beliefs are starting to form when we are in the mother's womb. So it's definitely worth the journey, is worth it. So that's why today we're going to address not only big T traumas, like when we think about trauma, is usually this sexual abuse or tsunami or war or something, even accident, physical accident, car accident maybe. But it could be also absence of attunement and connection, or if there were too much of something, let's say too much of control. So that's why let's expand a little bit of our definition of trauma. And I'm really grateful for people like Gabor Mate or Peter Levine who are trying to do that. That's why here I have their quotes. For example, Peter Levine says, trauma is not what happens to us, but what we hold inside in the absence of an empathetic witness. So let's say if a child experienced anger or pain and there was no one there to stay with them, or probably they were even said, don't feel this way, there is no need to feel it. So this feeling can be accumulated on a cellular level in the body experience. So even body posture might hold it inside until now. Or for example, Bessel van der Kolk, he talks about how it shuts down all experiences, including pleasure and satisfaction. And it's hard to stay in the present moment when you had certain trauma, because it always brings the body to the past. Not only on mental level, having certain images, but your body produces the same chemical reactions as during trauma. So that's why it's not about the past, but what's happening in right now in your present that might be a result of the past and still needs to be resolved. And Gabor formulates it beautifully as well, as you can read here, that trauma, it's pain, trauma pains you, and now you're acting out of pain. And what happens inside you as a result of what happened to you. So trauma is not what happened to you. Even small events could be really traumatic for a child, especially when they do not have this emotional capacity to go through life challenges. And if they don't have attuned parents around them, then even small event could cause this trauma. And if you think of it on top of that, adding all of the things that happen in school or kindergarten with bullying, and if they don't have a stable background within themselves, that could even create more of the traumatic memories of the body. So how you can recognize if you have trauma? So it could be some symptoms, and there are a few categories, and of course there is the range. There are some severe symptoms like PTSD, nightmares, or hyperarousal, panic attacks, phobias, flashbacks, suicidal thoughts, or depression. So in this case, you need to work with a specialist who is really qualified to support you. And I believe that it's important, if you understand that you have it, that you actually find this specialist for yourself. With whom I usually work, starting from people who have destructive behaviors, and it could be not just alcohol or drug addiction, but also like shopping, gambling, sex, something that numbs the pain and helps a person to lose themselves there, and it's destructive for their life. Or psychosomatic illnesses. Right now, more and more studies show that cancer, headaches, migraines, skin disorders, immune system, digestive, chronic pain, and almost there is a whole spectrum of disease that are a result that is just a physical symptom that became visible because there is something inside that was not expressed. And it really helpful. Just on Monday, I worked with a client, and she suddenly had her back pain disappeared because we did certain practice together. So it's really in the body as well. And also, which is very common for me to work with, and where I am coming from, is blockages in life without understanding why, as I was telling you, especially in relationships, when you miss this connection, or if you feel disconnected even from yourself, or if you feel this procrastination, self-doubt, shame, this can be all coming from very early experiences. And let's also differentiate that trauma at the same time is not the same as just emotional overwhelm or stress at work, or if you watch a movie or had a really bad conversation with someone, and like using the word that, oh, I was traumatized by that, might be not truth, because trauma actually makes changes in the body, in the nervous system, and in the entire system. So you can think a little bit and reflect. If you have any of the symptoms, ask yourself, where am I required healing? Where do I want to look at? And where is this possibility for me that it's not only about physical symptoms, it's not only thinking, how do I stop migraine? How do I take certain pill for pain to disappear? But it's about like, okay, why pain in the first place? What am I trying to cover with this addiction, or with this, my body tries to cover with this headache? So that's where we will be looking from this perspective. And if you have any comments, if you recognize certain traits for yourself, you can also comment below just to share your experience. And here are some hallmarks of trauma. It creates a disconnection from yourself. So people feel that they lost sense of connection, and it might be with your feelings, with your body, and it always starts with yourself. Some people might not recognize it, but it will be resulted as disconnection from others. It feels like you are in the relationships, but you are there, but not really there, not really connected. So that can be also how can trauma be resulted in you. And also trauma shapes the worldview. It constricts this because trauma puts the brain in the state where it searches for danger. So even the world is safe around you and people are not planning to do anything bad, but the nervous system is trained since the very early stage that there might be something dangerous. So instead of looking for connection, looking for what is present, the brain is constantly searching for danger. And that's why, of course, it's a limited worldview. It's usually like that everything is difficult and hard to achieve, it's not safe, and all of these beliefs about the world come there. And also trauma makes it difficult to be in the present moment. So that's something that you can also notice if you are staying alone, for example. And right now, I think that last year was the experience for everyone, when everyone was left alone at home. And that's when a lot of stuff started to come up. And some people were surprised because, from where all of this is coming. It's not that it wasn't there. All of the stuff was already inside you, just that you didn't have time to notice it. And if you are realizing that, okay, I have a problem of concentrating on the present, the brain is always wavering to the past, there is a sense of anxiety or worry, then probably you also have an opportunity to heal here. And it brings changes into your nervous system. It's more going into defensive state, into more activated rather than connected and relaxed. And if to mention a few types of trauma, just on the generic level, as I mentioned, there is this shock trauma, or I call them big T before, critical accident. It's a natural disaster, war, abuse. And then there is a developmental trauma or transgenerational trauma. And definitely today we are mostly focusing on the second part, and the practices that we will do also mostly relevant to developmental trauma that are, I think, that relevant almost to everyone, because we're all trying our best to not pass this trauma to the next generation. And I'm really happy that you are here today to do the work, because when you do the work, there is less stuff that you will pass to your kids. But even though no one is perfect, and the entire system has to change year by year, generation through generation, until we can create a more healthy environment. And the most solid test that you can do to understand if you have trauma or what's the degree of it, it's the ACE quiz, Adverse Childhood Experience. And it has different aspects, and you will be given questions of evaluating statements, and depending on the score, you can understand how much healing that you need and what specialists that you can look for, what qualification do they require, for example. So there are 3 categories as abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. So when it comes to abuse, usually we think about sexual, and unfortunately, every 4th woman experiences sexual abuse, and not just by the stranger, but most of the time it's in a family context. So a lot of people, and a lot of people watching probably would have that as well. Or physical, we think about physical abuse as well, but there is also emotional, when you were called names or treated just emotionally badly. That's also will cause trauma. And of course, neglect, whether it's physical or emotional, especially in the early stage when child's brain was just developing and they simply needed to be hugged, to be held, and if it was not there, that's already considered as a physical neglect. And household dysfunction, mental illness of a parent or someone who was there, or if someone was in the prison, mother treated violently, divorce or substance abuse. And many people I worked with, when we start our conversation, it also starts like, I had a happy childhood. My dad was drinking a bit. My mother was treated badly, but that's okay. That's how we all lived. And that's how many of us think that it's okay. I don't require any healing. But if you had some of these situations, it's not for you to be now labeled as like, okay, I had this trauma, what do I do now? It's the opposite. When you have certain information, okay, this is where I am right now. So then you can take actions and heal. Because if you don't, there are certain risks where what could happen without a proper treatment. There are all variety of behaviors that are coping mechanisms. It's alcoholism, smoking, drug abuse, or procrastination. It's all like separating from the pain and from the feeling, and also physical and mental health. As I told you, if you didn't heal it inside you, within yourself, then your body will try to cope with that. Your body will try to scream, look at me, I'm here. And that's why we have so many diseases right now. Obesity, diabetes, the rate is growing year by year. And unfortunately, most of the time we are stuck only within the context of treating the symptom rather than looking deeper, while healing lies where the pain is. And more of things that you can see on the slide. And for me, also coming from the background that I thought I don't have any trauma, I realized that when you heal it, it's not about just living life of achieving certain dreams, achieving certain state, but what it helps that you can really enjoy your life, you can thrive in life, you can become your authentic self, and finally experience life as you want, feeling presence, freedom of choice. You will have improved self-image and self-esteem, improved relationships with others, and also you will thrive in your career. After healing my trauma, I was able to grow my career rapidly, first of all, but also I realized that career was not for me. So I was even able to change and find my passion and start living life on my terms. I was able to build wonderful relationships with my fiance, and I mean, it's constant process of uncovering new layers. I believe I'm probably uncovered this much of what I would want to heal. But at the same time, it's more and more interesting and beautiful experience. So I definitely recommend it. And it's not easy, but it's worth it. Okay, and let's talk a little bit where it starts from. And from many of my practices with people using hypnotherapy and breath work, especially rebirth breathing, we usually have these experiences that people have while they are re-experiencing a womb, themselves in the womb, or they're re-experiencing birth. So I could definitely say that a lot of beliefs, they are coming from that times when the embryo starts its development, probably from the week 4 of childhood growth in mother's womb. And of course, during first years, especially first 7 years, that's where we have we become a personality, and there are 2 basic needs. That is a safe attachment with a regulated parent who can be there, provide them safe space physically, emotionally, and also there is a second need of authenticity, or you can call it ranking and linking, or in basic words, there is a need for love and connection, that the child needs to experience this feeling and reflection that they are lovable, they are connected, they belong to the world and safe here. And this is all within the context of child and a relationship with their parents or closest caregivers. And it's not only about words. A lot of times that we think that if I say this to my child, that's all. But it's all about the whole thing, like how the parent present themselves. Are they stressed, or can they be in a regulated state of the nervous system? And what about physical touch, emotional support? So that's one, and I believe that's where it starts, when the child develops. And then a little bit later on, also a person needs to find their own voice, express themselves, their truth, and the need of authenticity comes. And these two should come together. So that's why the attachment theory also can be useful for you to understand what's your attachment style, and whether you lack attunement or authenticity, and how you can deal with that, so you can actually recreate it and heal it with yourself and with your partner and with all other relationships. Let's also take a moment to think about brain development of a child. So it always starts from the most primitive part, when it's like a sensory, motoric safety. This is all established. So that's why physical touch comes first, a nurturing touch, voice, and then there is the emotional part. Emotional development comes into place, limbic part, which is responsible for survival, attachment, and only then we develop our thinking, learning abilities. And if these two before were not created, if we are more in a defensive state rather than safety, then the brain cannot go to that part where they will be able to learn, because cortisol produced will actually shut down social brain. So that's why if you don't feel safety right now, that would be the first step. Then learning, healing your emotions before proceeding with figuring out it on an analytical level. So that's the example of how by age we develop certain qualities, certain feelings, trust, safety, then it comes to healthy attachment, then to authenticity, and then to independence and identity. Okay, and it's important to understand that whatever was whatever that you experienced as a child, that it can stay with you within your system as a defensive mechanism. So if you didn't have, for instance, safety, and you learned, of course, subconsciously, the child learned how to survive in the world, and they develop certain coping mechanisms, certain strategies, maybe to cry, maybe to scream, or maybe to freeze and hide themselves. So that's in your later in adulthood, it will be hard for the adult to talk to others, to express anger in a healthy manner, to experience anger in a healthy manner, to probably speak up, or whatever that coping mechanism that helped them in the childhood, already not relevant right now, but it's still working. So that's why it's important to understand, okay, what part of me that needs that healing. A lot of times that we go in with clients using compassionate inquiry or rapid transformational therapy, and they see these memories with the child in the room, and they are like just hiding because they hear parents screaming or something going on, and there is nowhere to go. There is only option just to stay there silent and wait. So now when an adult is already CEO of the company, and there is a conflict between their team members, it's no longer a powerful CEO. It might be that that part comes up and that wants to shut down and stay silent. So these observations that you can do and see where you can heal. All right, so let's go into healing. And firstly, I'll just briefly explain you from my experience. Again, this is not coming from books or seminars, but it's based on what worked with my clients. So usually it always starts with the bodily experience of safety. Why I say bodily experience? Because safety is not something that you can perceive mentally. It's not that you just say, I'm safe, I'm safe. It's something that you need to experience with your whole self. And self-soothing practices, you can create space at home, at least somewhere where you can feel safe every day. Working with a therapist who can be the safety ground for you, that's a attuned parent to model it. Family and friends, even pets, and gardening, something that can be so grounding and relaxing. And it deeply connected with regulative practices for the nervous system. So movement, yoga, dance, tai chi, playing instruments, acting, singing, slow breathing. All of these practices create this state where there is a balanced state of sympathetic and parasympathetic state of the nervous system, which also helps with safety. And because you come back to the practice, you know what's there, and you are in this beautiful, relaxed state. It's kind of like a combined relaxation and a little bit of activation, which is exactly needed, the state of the brain where your vagus tone is exactly ready for learning, for receiving, for connection. So if you don't have any of the practices yet, and you are planning to start working on yourself or with your beliefs, with your healing trauma, I would recommend you to definitely support yourself, and your yoga practice will be a supportive system. So that's the first step. Then also working with people, I realized that sometimes it's hard for them to unblend when they start experiencing anger or sadness. It's just going deeper and deeper in the loop. So when you work with these parts that need healing, it's good to remind you that it's not only you, that there is also your essential part, your highest self. And that's where, for example, holotropic states are very useful with breathing, plant medicine, Reiki, hypnotherapy, spiritual experiences, or meditation as well. So that's where you can experience this oneness with everything and oneness with all. So then you can come back to that place as well with this healing self part of yourself. Just yesterday, I was working with my therapist, and I was healing the part of me that was afraid, and certain healing mechanism automatically started, and certain golden light just happened in my throat area automatically already. And I was so amazed how we have it inside us. It's working all the time. It's just we don't see it. So when you go into certain states, this healing, natural healing wisdom that every person has, it's just happening. And emotional processing also required. I like this quote of Rumi: the cure for pain is in the pain. So if you are having problems with anger, stay with anger. If you're having problems with, let's say, shame, and you're experiencing it a lot of times, stay with it and learn from it. And of course, not just blending with and becoming one, identifying yourself with anger, but it's more like being an observer, processing it and observing it within your body. Today, we're going to do a certain practice that will be helpful. And of course, healing the inner child parts, active visualization, internal family system therapy, compassionate inquiry, forgiveness, these tools that I use. But it's all about not just healing inner child as in the whole, one thing, but also inner child parts. That one part can be experiencing fear and stay in a freeze response, shutting down. Maybe there is another part that is experiencing fight and flight response, and defending, being aggressive. So, and there are many, many more, fixer, teacher, whatever else that can come up. It's just constantly to become aware and healing those parts. And also, because it started with earliest relationships with parents, definitely when I work with people, I do the process of clearing relationships. It doesn't mean that you need to work together with them. It's your process to express the pain, verbalize or write it, to process grief of unexpressed emotions or something that didn't happen to you, and you can feel for this child now. And then you can move to forgiveness when you are ready as well. I have a forgiveness protocol that helps us to move through it step by step, and it's very practical. And also you can address it with hurters or with other household members with whom you feel resentment. So if anything that you still hold resentment, I definitely recommend you to process it, to become free, to go out of that prison. And there are many modalities. Right now, it becomes more and more available, and this is a really empowering. In addition to usual talking therapy and psychotherapy, there are many, many modalities that you can see on the screen. And I personally combine different practices, even with one person. I don't believe that only one method is the best. It's always what's the most relevant right now. Sometimes it's more going to the bodily experience. Sometimes probably understanding and unwrapping story that you constantly talk. Sometimes connecting to some higher powers to create the state of essence. So even in one session, I might combine breath work with hypnotherapy, with compassionate inquiry, and even sound healing. So really just go ahead and explore and find something that works for you, and see something that will stick, something that resonates, because every person is unique and you might resonate with your practice. And okay, so let's go into practices that you can bring home. So you can take a breath first, and I'll drink some water. Let this information sink, first of all, with all of you, and whatever that needs to stay will stay. What is not relevant, you can just let go. It will come at the right place. And if you're watching right now, also take a moment just to comment below what what's the most useful insight that you just got right now. Yes, what's the insightful thing, and if you want to explore more in that topic, you can also mention that. Okay, let me see if I can access comments right now. Okay. And we will just continue. So just type below, and if you have any questions also, I'll just come back to them later. So what practices we will do right now? Self-soothing pose that will help you to regulate a sense of safety, recreate self-safety and self-help. We will use breathing combined with movement and a bit of connected breath. We will also have emotional bodily awareness practice, especially for some of you that you don't know how to work with emotions. This would be a good place to start. And for those of you who work with it, always there is a next level to go deeper. We will do a little bit of healing the inner child work. But if at any moment any part is triggering for you, you can always stop. So this is your practice. You can come back to it later. And if you want to go deeper, then I have also some extra materials with a longer session. So just type below materials, or just write follow-up. If you write follow-up in comments, then later on I'll just send you a link how to get materials that you can go deeper with certain practices. Okay, so now let's go into the practice time. So let me remove. And we will begin with a practice that will help to release accumulated energy. Also really good if you are in a usually feeling stuck in a state of shutdown. If you're experiencing these moments, then actually you are going to that part of the brain that is primal, that is reptilian brain, that helps you to just be not visible. So in that case, it's good to move to like a little bit of activation, a sympathetic nervous system that will help you move through this energy that is stuck. So for that practice, please stand up with me, and we will do a little bit of breathing. Okay, let me create space for myself, and you can just do this, that we will raise our hands up on inhale, and on exhale, just say out loud, ha, and exhale, ha. Yeah, like this. Inhale, ha. Let me also turn the camera that you can see it from this perspective. Inhale, and then sit and half squash, and ha, again. Ha. So inhale, raising your hands up. On exhale, sitting and really releasing, letting out. Ha. Ha. I wish that I could hear every person that is joining this practice. It's fun to do together, but do it with all the fun at home. Ha. And now more relaxed. Inhale, still raise your hands up. On exhale, lean forward with your back, but be careful with your back. And just exhale, release. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Inhale up. Exhale. So these are simple practices to release, to move a little bit the energy. And now we will do cleansing breath. So on inhale, create more space, let the breath come in. And on exhale, just let go as you are doing natural sigh. And now combine this breath with movement. Whatever feels right to you, allow yourself to play with the space. On inhale, do some movement. On exhale as well. Something that you also can do with the music. Now inhale, placing your hands on your belly. And on upper part of the belly. Now keep one hand on your heart. And move one hand on your forehead and your throat. And just gently touching any area where you feel like that. Soothing touch. And breathe through that area where you feel any tension. And right now you can keep in a standing position as well. Just to get closer, I'll be in a sitting position. So place one hand here and then another hand on your shoulder, and you can even lock it. It's a self-soothing pose from Peter Levine, and you can hug yourself basically really tightly, create this locking tight space, and you can even lean towards one shoulder and just stay with it. For some of you, it might be some emotion bringing some tears. So in that case, just take a breath and allow yourself to release whatever the tension that you're holding. And you can stay with it, even you can move from one side to another. Or you can gently place on your heart if it's more comfortable. Sometimes it's good to place on your face. So it looks very simple, but actually this is something that if you didn't have all of this attunement that we were talking about, is so needed. And if you need self-support and safety, this is the practice for you to practice every day. You can even create some space in your bed. And while you are going to sleep, stay with this pose, cover yourself up with a blanket to create this safety island for yourself. Okay, let's take another deep breath. And right now we're going to the emotional awareness practice combined with breathing. So you can sit comfortably where you are right now and just feel your shoulders, relax your back. Take a breath. Feel where you sit right now. You can close your eyes, so keep your eyes open, whatever is most comfortable for you. Notice where you sit and how the buttocks is touching the surface of the chair. Feel your feet on the ground, how it connects you to the earth. Feel your breath, allowing your breathing to flow without any control, without any effort. Allow your breath to be as it is. Inhale slowly or fast, just observing what's the speed rate, what's the temperature of breathing. Notice any sensations in your body right here, right now. What is that you feel? Maybe there are certain vibrations, certain tension. Maybe you feel cold or hot in certain areas of your body. Just notice them. And take another cleansing breath on inhale, creating more space for yourself. On exhale, release. One more time, create more space on inhale and release. And right now, invite your emotions into the picture without opening your eyes. You can think about something that happened lately that probably caused you sadness. Just invite sadness to be here right now. And when you think about sadness, where do you feel it in your body? What is the bodily sensations of it? You can even place your hand to the area where you feel it. And for every person, it might be different. At every moment, it might be different. And on inhale, create space in that part of your body. And on exhale, release. And let's do it a few times, few connected breathings from that part of your body. And your intention is enough. You just direct your attention to that part of yourself, to that part of your body. And breathe right now in a connected way where inhale goes to exhale and the opposite. And right now, just allow sadness to go. And you can think about anger. Maybe remembering the time when you felt anger last time. Or maybe just the thinking about anger and how you experience that, or something that triggers you. Just observe how does it respond in your body. What response do you feel in your body right now? Physical sensations of this emotion. Because emotions is also energy in motion. And place your hand where you feel it the most. For every person, it might be different. And breathe in through that part of your body. We do 5 connected breaths. Exhale with a sound, expressing it. And if you don't feel that you are able to experience certain emotions in your body right now, it's okay. Just notice the most prominent sensation. Maybe it's just simply certain tension, maybe certain vibration, or maybe just a pressure where you sit. Then start from there. So for a moment, just notice what's the most prominent sensation in your body right now. And breathe through it, being aware of that sensation and observe how it's changing. And right now, think about fear. When you think of fear, or maybe something that you felt afraid of recently, Maybe it's really familiar for you, or maybe you can't even recognize how it feels. But just invite fear to be present with you as a loving parent that holds space for their child to feel. Right now, you are creating this space with every breath. And place your hand where you feel fear the most. And breathe 5 connected breaths. Ah, 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 ah. And allow the fear to go. If it needs to stay more, allow it to be. Just go with the process and keep noticing, keep observing. Like a loving parent saying to yourself, I'm here. It's okay to feel this way for you. And right now, think about what is that feeling that you experience as the most challenging for you. Maybe it's one of those, whether it's anger, frustration, maybe fear, maybe sadness or grief, or maybe there is sense of shame or guilt, or anything else. Just whatever is that the most challenging for you to experience and process. Allow these sensations to come and breathe 5 times through that part of your body. You can place your hand on that part of your body where you feel it. And stay with it. And right now, imagine a child of 3 to 5 years old who would be experiencing that feeling. Maybe they feel ashamed. And if this child is a young version of you, maybe this is small you. Just invoke this image. Maybe you can remember a photograph that you saw of yourself. Or maybe imagine that you come to a room in your house where you grew up and you open the room right now and you see that child there. And if they feel that way, that also challenging for you right now, that was also challenging for them during that time. And right now, being a powerful adult with nurturing capacity, come to them, look into their eyes. They know that it's you, they trust you fully, they trust you. They know that it's safe with you. They know that it's safe with you to experience any feeling. And hold space for them. Ask them what's going on and listen. Ask them what do they need from you right now. Whether it's certain words, I'm here for you. I see you. I hear you. I love you. Maybe it's a hug. So then just hug yourself gently, imagining how you're hugging that child. Maybe you just need to be there with them. And allow them to experience and express their feeling because they didn't have chance back then. Right now they have you, the most attuned, most loving parent. And imagine how you take them with you and you're bringing them with you. You're showing them your world. You can show them your room, what you have right now, that you are an adult right now, that they have the choice, that you have a choice, and they have too. They can stay with you, they live with you, they can come back. Ask them what else they need. What do they need every day to feel safe or to feel protected or maybe to feel loved? And right now, imagine how this child is becoming a light, golden light, and goes above your head and goes directly into your heart. You are reuniting with this part of yourself, integrating it, welcoming it. Take a breath through your heart. And imagine how you are reconnecting with your essence through this action. There is something bigger than you, than your emotions, than your body. There is your essence. You are connected to the universe. It's the universe who brought you here, gave you this life, so you belong here. Just knowing that, feel your spinal cord, feel where you sit, connection to earth through your feet, connection to the universe through your forehead and from the top of your head. And take a breath. We will do 10 connected breaths. Gentle breaths. You can place your hands on your heart or anywhere where you want this touch, gentle touch to be. And you can say all the words that this child needed to hear and you need to hear right now. I love you. I'm becoming a loving parent for you. You are beautiful. You are smart. You are capable. I love you unconditionally. I always have space and time for you. You belong to me, and I belong to you. And anything else that feels right specifically at this moment for you. And right now, you can place your hands on your knees, just resting. Take a breath. Release and exhale. Feel your shoulders, feel your back, feel your buttocks and physical weight. You can move just from side to side a little bit. Take a breath. And on the next breath, you can become more aware of your surroundings, of noises and sounds around you. And when you are ready, you can slowly open your eyes. And take your time if you need to move a little bit or to drink some water, to walk, to ground yourself after the practice. If there is anything that you need help with or have any questions, you can just write me on my Instagram account or Facebook or through email. If you need to take more time to process, also just rest first. And I would like to thank you for joining. Thank you for going through this practice and through this session, because it's really important, the work that you do on yourself. Only the way we can heal the world starts from us, from each of us, because we feed either into healing, either into trauma. When you go working with your team, when you meet your partner, when you just meet a taxi driver, the way you communicate with them, the way you understand and having empathy and compassion towards them, that makes the whole difference of our human experience. And if you still have a lot of stuff going on that you can't really be in that space of wholeness, then of course it will be harder for you to provide this experience for your children or for your teammates. So there is a beautiful journey to heal, and it always goes through one way to another, but also there are so many benefits because you can finally thrive in life, you can become free and live the life of your dream, live your passion. So that's why thank you so much. And if you would like to receive materials after this session, you can type follow up in the comments section if you didn't do yet. If you're watching right now or watching later, many of you will be watching replay, and you can send it to those who needs to watch it. Just the same link will be available and stay in my Facebook and my YouTube. So you can always access it and share with others. And if you would like to work with me personally, I also have private practice where I work with people. So you can just go into alsukashapova.com /free call, and you can join free consultation call first, where we'll discover a little bit what's happening with you, what's your situation, and I could see where what could be recommended for you. I give a lot of stuff for free. I can send you materials. Or if you would like to work with me with a holistic therapy, we can also talk about that if you want to really address certain trauma or maybe some area where you feel limitations, because results of this are incredible. I have people working with coming with different issues, whether it's something more practical, like they want to move from one position to another in their career or earn more money, or whether they want to go through challenging times with their partner, whether it's new relationships or even divorce, or whether it's a physical illness. Sometimes there are certain bodily experiences. We do this type of work, combining different methods together, combining compassionate inquiry with breathing, with hypnotherapy and rapid transformational therapy and other methods to help you overcome these limitations in the external world while healing internal. And I will tell you more that usually people come with one probably symptom, one issue, but this type of work impacts literally all areas of life, literally transforms it. So that's why I really love doing this, and thank you so much. So with this, we will end this live session. You can follow me, and we will have more and more live sessions. If you would like, if you have some specific questions, please also write me. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.